So there was one other thing in your story about how the Liberty's owners were able to find a way to get chartered flights for the entire league for 3 years in the last negotiation, and then that was stricken down. Can you explain what happened with that situation?
Sure. And just to be clear about it, it was not an official proposal. What happened was at a September meeting, the Liberty floated that idea of, listen, we think we can do this, but it didn't get far enough, in part because there's not enough owners who are willing to go that charter route for it to become something that was formally presented. And the league, in fact, made it clear, that this has still not been formally presented. The Liberty, for their part, believe this would be very possible. Whether or not there is that possibility, and whether or not, even if there is that possibility, there are owners who might want to have it happen anyway, is an open question. There are owners who are concerned and expressed this concern at that meeting that once you go there, there's no going back. And I think there is an element of truth to that as well.
Howard, walk me through some of the economics here, please. This league lost money for a long time. The NBA built the business. It was very expensive to build the business. How profitable is the business now?
I would frame it a little bit differently, by which I would say there are a ton of loss leader choices made in men's sports every single day. And so the question is less about, well, is the revenue there today to pay for it today? And more a question of, what would doing this free up? What would doing this allow you in terms of keeping players here, keeping players from overseas? What would doing this today allow for you as a league to be able to accomplish? And so I don't think it's a useful thing to frame it purely in those terms. Now, that said, there are teams that are profitable. There are teams that are operating at a loss. There are teams that are capable of operating at a loss now and are doing so while investing in the future, looking at long-term potential growth. The best way to think about women's sports as a whole, and the WNBA is no different, is that it is a developing economy rather than a developed economy. And you're seeing a lot of that in NWSL as well. You're seeing teams that are making decisions like the Kansas City Current, who are building their own women's soccer specific stadium. They're not sitting there, and the Lawns are not sitting there, the owners in Kansas City, saying, well, do we have the ticket revenue today to go pay for that stadium? And they're saying, we're going to invest, build this stadium, because over the long term, having and controlling our own venue is going to be critical to our long-term growth.